The autumn rain fell steadily on the busy downtown street as Catherine adjusted her navy blazer and checked her phone. At 56, she had built Sterling Industries from a small family business into one of the region's most successful companies. Her auburn hair fell in soft waves around her shoulders, and despite the weather, she wore a warm amber dress that reminded her of the golden leaves she'd loved as a child. She was running late for the board meeting that would determine the future of her company's new community outreach program, but as she hurried down the sidewalk in her black heels, disaster struck. Her shoe caught in a street grate, and she found herself stranded in the pouring rain. "Oh, for heaven's sake," she muttered, tugging at her trapped heel as business people rushed past her without a second glance. That's when she noticed him, a man in his early 40s, wearing a simple gray button-down shirt and dark jeans, carrying a worn leather messenger bag. Unlike everyone else, he had stopped walking and was watching her predicament with genuine concern. "Excuse me, ma'am," he called out over the sound of the rain. "Do you need some help?" Catherine looked up at him, surprised by the kindness in his voice. He had gentle brown eyes and a short beard that was just beginning to show touches of gray. There was something about his manner, respectful, unhurried, that reminded her of her late father. "I'm afraid my heel is completely stuck," she admitted, feeling somewhat embarrassed. "I have an important meeting, and now I'm going to be terribly late." Without hesitation, the man set down his bag and knelt on the wet pavement beside her. "Let me take a look," he said, his voice calm and reassuring. "Sometimes these old grates can be tricky." As he worked carefully to free her shoe, Catherine noticed the worn edges of his clothes, the scuffed leather of his boots. His hands were strong but gentle, the hands of someone who worked hard for a living. "I'm Robert, by the way," he said, still focused on the stubborn heel. "Robert Martinez." "Catherine," she replied, then added impulsively, "Catherine Sterling." "Nice to meet you, Catherine," he said with a warm smile, not seeming to recognize her name. "Almost got it. There we go." With a gentle twist, he freed her shoe from the grate. But as Catherine tried to put her weight on it, she winced. The heel was damaged, making it impossible to walk properly. "I'm afraid that heel isn't going to—" "Hold," Robert observed, standing up and brushing off his knees. Rain had soaked through his shirt, but he didn't seem to mind. Catherine felt tears of frustration welling up in her eyes. "This meeting, it's so important. We're deciding whether to fund a program that would help single parents in our community get job training and childcare support. I've been working on it for months." Something shifted in Robert's expression. "Single parents?" he asked quietly. "Yes," Catherine said, her voice growing passionate despite her predicament. "So many people are struggling to better their lives while taking care of their children. I want to create opportunities for them. But the board needs convincing." Robert was quiet for a moment, rain dripping from his hair. Then he did something that surprised her completely. He sat down on the wet curb and began unlacing his brown leather shoes. "What are you doing?" Catherine asked. "These are a size 10, but they're better than nothing," he said, pulling off his shoes and offering them to her. "They'll be big, but you'll be able to walk." "I can't take your shoes," Catherine protested. "You'll ruin your socks, and it's pouring." "Rain." Robert looked up at her, his eyes serious but kind. "Ma'am, if you're fighting for single parents, then you're fighting for people like me. My daughter Emma is 8, and my son David is 6. Their mother passed away 3 years ago, and I've been raising them on my own." He stood up in his stocking feet, water immediately soaking through. "I was actually on my way to a job interview, myself. Been out of work for 2 months since the factory closed. But if wearing wet socks means someone like you gets to that meeting to help families like mine, well, that seems like a pretty good trade to me." Catherine felt her heart break and swell at the same time. "Robert, you can't miss your interview, for me. and I can't let you walk in the rain without shoes." "The interview can wait," he said simply. "Besides, there will be other interviews. But there might not be another chance for that program you're talking about." With tears mixing with raindrops on her cheeks, Catherine slipped her feet into Robert's shoes. They were indeed too big, but they would work. "How can I repay you?" she asked. Robert smiled, the kind of smile that speaks of a person who understands what really matters in life. "Just make sure you tell them about families like mine. Tell them we're not looking for handouts, we're looking for chances." Catherine nodded, unable to speak. She began walking toward her building, turning back once to see Robert standing there in the rain, waving her on with encouragement. The board meeting was unlike any Catherine had ever experienced. She told them about Robert, about his sacrifice, about the reality of single parents who were willing to give up their own opportunities to help others succeed. She spoke with a passion that came from witnessing true kindness in action. The program was approved unanimously. 2 hours later, Catherine returned to the street corner carrying a bag from the nearby department store. She found Robert exactly where she'd left him, sitting under the small overhang of a bus stop, still in his wet socks. "Robert," she called out. He looked up, his face brightening when he saw her. "Catherine, how did the meeting go?" "It went beautifully, thanks to you," she said, sitting down beside him. "But I have something for you." She handed him the bag. New shoes, socks, and... She paused, pulling out an envelope. "A job offer." Robert's eyes widened. "I don't understand." "Sterling Industries needs a community outreach coordinator for our new program," Catherine explained. "Someone who understands the challenges single parents face. Someone with integrity and compassion. Someone who would give up his own interview to help a stranger." Robert stared at the envelope, then back at her. "You're Catherine Sterling. As in Sterling Industries." "I am," she said softly. "But more importantly, I'm someone who learned something precious today about kindness and sacrifice. About what it means to put others before yourself." 6 months later, Robert stood before a room full of program participants, single parents who were finishing job training courses and securing stable employment. Catherine watched from the back of the room as he shared his own story, encouraging others to believe in second chances and the power of community support. After the meeting, as they walked through the company courtyard, Robert turned to Catherine. "You know, I never did find out what happened to my original job interview that day." Catherine smiled. "Well, as it turns out, you were interviewing all along. You just didn't know it." "How's that?" Robert asked, genuinely curious. "Sometimes," Catherine said, watching the sun break through the afternoon clouds. "The most important tests in life don't happen in conference rooms or offices. They happen on street corners in the rain, when we choose compassion over convenience, when we choose service over self-interest." She paused by the fountain in the center of the courtyard. "That day, you showed me what true leadership looks like. It doesn't wear expensive suits or sit in corner offices. Sometimes it stands in wet socks in the rain, making sure others can reach their dreams." The program Robert helped launch went on to assist hundreds of families, creating a ripple effect of positive change throughout the community. And every rainy day when Catherine looked out her office window, she remembered the lesson learned on a busy street corner, that the greatest opportunities in life often come disguised as moments when we choose to help someone else succeed. Character count: 6,891.